about training, and one of the training sessions that Canvas will provide for us is a 2-hour instructor training. We'd really like very much to schedule that training at a time so that as many members of this group as possible can participate in that, so that we can, all learn together. And some of us have been playing with Canvas for quite a few months now. So although none of us are experts, some of us have a little bit of experience, and we may be able to at least respond to questions. So, I think what we'd love to know is what you're doing and where you are. Sam, actually, since almost everybody is working with you in some capacity, do you want to start us off and just sort of introduce yourself and tell us what your role is?
Sure. My name is Samantha Dessler, and I'm going to be working with helping to get the Canvas up and running. I'm also still supporting the Companion for this fall and for this spring. So I'll be the one that's going to try and help troubleshoot, be enrolling new students, and trying to answer technical questions that we have.
Sam's setting up our courses for us. She'll be enrolling our students too, which is I think an important point. We're not going to have to enroll our students by ourselves. Some of you who have played with some other platforms like Sakai and the remote learner platform that we played with a little bit, we're enrolling your own students. Sam's going to do that for us. And Sam, you'll be able to sort of monitor drops and adds as well, right?
Yes.
So we won't have to worry about that,
Right.
which is great. An associated point, and I think an important point, for the fall at least, we will not have integration with Banner or with WyoWeb, and which means that if our students click on the course link and they're more in My Courses in WyoWeb, they will not be redirected to their Canvas courses. So we'll need to provide some instruction to them early in the semester when we introduce Canvas about how to get to the course. And I think probably what we'll do is we'll write something for you that explains why we're doing this, what we're doing, why we're putting our students through this, and provide some guidelines as well. But that's, I think, an important piece to remember.
Do you think you could do that in time for us to put it in our syllabus?
I think we probably could. I think we can do that this week.
We'll do it this week.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Perfect list.
Yeah. Irina, do you want to?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So my name is Irene, and I teach in the Modern and Classical Languages Department. I teach Spanish, and actually looking into. Did we get the Spanish version or not yet?
I don't know what the status of that is. I think that we do. I mean, I think it comes as part of the package.
Actually, and I think it's part of the selection. So I think as we go through the administrative training and that stuff, so that you can select that as the default for your course in particular. But it's standard. I think there's a whole list of languages that we can use and stuff. So I think we just need to figure. We might want to put that, Sam, as a maybe look at the help on the instruction list to figure out how to do that for particular courses. But it should be available to us out of the gates.
Okay.
So
all right. Yeah, I didn't check that unfortunately yet, but one thing I'll be checking it.
Great. Rick, you're building a class.
Cool. Hopefully. I teach writing classes mostly on campus, and I've used eCampus for just on-campus supplement for a long time. Just finishing up my second online writing class. So I'm trying to figure out how course shells look differently for entirely online classes than for on-campus supplement. Mainly I'm trying to figure out how to not carry my assumptions about what a shell should be into this new setting. Right now I find myself just trying to recreate my eCampus course, which is not necessarily the right way to do things, I think. I'm trying to figure out how to allow this to help me increase the multimedia component.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think that's a really great point, and I'd love to come back to that. Not let eCompanion drive the way these courses are, or the way the Canvas courses are designed. I think I know everybody here, except for Jeremy. Hi, Jeremy. I'm Meg. Nice to meet you. So I'm just gonna pass the baton to Jen, since
you probably won't have much interaction with me, but I'm Jen Chavez, Director of Application and Database Services within Information Technology. So I actually am on what we're calling ourselves the Implementation or Steering Committee for this. And so with my group, with Sam and Jeremy, we'll be supporting the application through the pilot, but then through the coming years and that stuff from administrative support. So if there's absolutely any issues or major things, always feel free to escalate this to Sam. We're trying to figure out the phone number and the email address right now to put all that in place so that you have that constant of how to escalate things up, and then we'll be that first line of contact, and then we'll disperse it out either to the vendor if we can't solve it ourselves, or if it's a design question or that stuff that's kind of out of our expertise.
So that's a huge thing, you guys, and you may, if you've been around for a while, you may appreciate how enormous it is for us to have one centrally located point of contact, and to have IT's real investment and support here. That's something that we haven't had before, and we're really, really excited. Jen's been a huge part of that. Yeah, no, it's huge. Our hope is that the reality is that starting next summer, we'll have one LMS on campus that we support, and that'll be it.
Hi, I'm Casey Wood. I'm at Disability Support Services, and we're going to I had the bright idea of putting up a couple of non-credit courses, one aimed at students and one aimed at faculty, just to demo and try to troubleshoot accessibility problems. So one, put up information about accessibility and how to make campus accessible from the instructor side, and how to access it on the student side, and even how to access it on the instructor side for instructors with disabilities. And just kind of learn as we go along, post information, have discussions that people can discuss accessibility stuff. I hope it works. And maybe we'll offer it as something like a course. Maybe people can get a certificate if they go all the way through it. We'll send them a piece of paper they can put on their wall saying, "Hey, I completed this course."
I'm Carol Frost, and I'm in geology, and I'm eager to use this platform for a new class that I'm offering, 4,000 level class in geology with a textbook that my colleague and I have just published. So we're working up all the labs and all the activities, and this is the time for us to get onto your platform.
All right, I'll move this down. I think I also know everybody here because we pretty much invited people that Meg and I worked with. Yes, I'm. So Meg and I will actually be the contacts for you for most of this. As Meg said, we don't know a lot more than you do, although we're, part of our job is to figure it out. So we should be a little bit ahead of you. What we're kind of hoping is that every one of these meetings will be able to, if you give us something that you really want to know about, like if you get in the semester, like, oh, I don't understand how to grade things. If you give us a week notice, then Meg and I will really work on that for a week and get back to you with that, so that we can, at the meeting that week, we can come in and we can say, here's this. So we're hoping that every one of these meetings will have some nugget of information, and which we hope will be driven by you, is our goal. So we don't. I mean, but this time I think we're going to do. I don't know how many of you have gotten into this very much, but maybe a quick overview of what it looks like is what we might do today, because we didn't really have a plan coming. I mean, we didn't have anybody that gave us any ideas. But if there's something that you start going through this and you're like, I'm struggling with this, you need to let us know, and we will figure it out, or do our best to figure it out, and try to help you work through that. So hopefully we'll get we'll have different things. We apparently the language thing is in there, so that was good. That was good for Jen to be able to answer that, because I was like, I don't know anything about the language thing. But that's kind of what we're hoping. And as Meg said, it's kind of a learning community. We're all going to try to learn from each other. We already have the unsolved mysteries, which we don't know how to fix, that some people can answer. There's also a thread that's like, I couldn't figure this out. I figured this out. If you can take, if it takes you a little bit, if you can take 30 seconds and just pop in there and say, here's what I figured out, that could be very helpful to everybody else. Because it might be something that somebody else was like, oh, I didn't even know you could do that. Or it could be something that somebody else is struggling with it.
And there's just little things that you think, oh yeah, that's really obvious.
Right.
Somebody else will thank you.
Yes,
for saving
exactly.
them,
so we're kind of hoping that this will work through that way.
Yeah.
I will move on and let.
I'm Rachel, and I'm in molecular biology. I teach general microbiology, and so it's a fully face-to-face class, but I'll be using the shell as supplementary. One thing that's maybe a little different that I'll be doing is that I have about 12 teaching assistants, and they'll all be getting trained on Canvas too, so I'm hoping that I can learn it well enough to train them too. And we'll use it. We have a big virtual component that they do as a preview to the labs, so they have a virtual edge kind of experience prior, and then they do a pre-lab using that, and so I'm trying to get all of that transitioned over.
And you know, I mean, it might be, we can certainly add your TAs to our Canvas group.
Right.
So they can see the tips and tools, and they could post stuff too.
I think that would be a good idea.
Because I figure the more the merrier. If they're using it, let them throw them in there.
And sometimes they have more time to dedicate it to it than we do, and so
exactly.
Especially if I tell them that that's their task, they make it really industrious with it.
So I'll make sure you get those names, and I'll add them to it.
And I'm Kim Kruger in the School of Pharmacy, and my goal is to become one of Rachel's TAs because of the way she conducts her courses. Every time you talk, I'm like, wow, I have so much to learn. So I would love to have you. I teach the pharmacy law course and the bioethics course. Those will be the two that I have on Canvas coming up. And thank you for catching this numbering problem. So I've took the shell of a syllabus when I got here like 8 years ago, and have realized that I've been using the wrong course number in the syllabus for 8 years. It tells you how much attention students pay to my syllabus, or I pay to my syllabus maybe. So, and so I've just started. I used in the past. I've used Blackboard and. What was the one that Blackboard bought?
Moodle.
No, WebCT.
WebCT, and then Sakai, and
you used Moodle a little.
Moodle. Yes, last semester. So I'm an LMS junkie, I guess.
You're very versatile.
They're not flighty. They're versatile. Yeah.
All right, I'm Jeremy Seachlin. I'll be backing up Sam. So I guess when she's out, you'll be contacting me.
I'm Jane Jenkins in kinesiology, and when Christine and Meg send me an email message to join a group, I join. I just I don't have the foggiest idea what's going on, but I'm here. And that's God's truth.
It's true.
You're all laughing, but it's
true. I know.
We love you.
You two should test that.
I'm Michael Knievel. Like Rick, I teach writing courses, and I'm teaching 2 in the fall, and so I thought it'd make a lot of sense to do this in both classes as opposed to just piloting it in one. After spending just a few minutes looking around, I'm questioning the logic of that particular.
Yeah, that was a good decision.
Well, yeah, so I'm in a little bit of a panic actually, trying to work the first semester freshman through this, giving my own kind of impoverished understanding. But here's hoping that the next 2 weeks are really
powerful. One thing that I think I would follow up on what Michael was saying there is that one thing I believe after Meg had a class that she had the students, her class piloted 3 different elements. Actually, they did more than that. Tell them what they did.
Well, okay, so this is not a freshman class. This was my 4010, my writing for whatever that class is called, technical writing for the professions. You guys know what it's called. I had my campus class last fall look at 3 LMS and and compare each. They were working in groups, and each group chose 2 features or 2 functions that they wanted to explore across. Really, they were looking at 2, but it ended up being 3 because they inevitably looked at eCompanion along with Canvas and Remote Learner. So each group chose 2 features to explore, to experiment with, to document, to explain how it worked or how they worked, and then to evaluate. And ultimately, it wasn't the intention necessarily of the assignment that they decide, that they choose which of the LMS that they found the most usable, but ultimately they did. And to a person, without exception, they chose Canvas. Without any instruction from me. I
And
mean,
that
like
was
none.
way prior to us choosing
Yeah.
Canvas.
Yeah.
So part of my point is that I think for your students, this is going to be really easy. Like it's much more. It behaves very much like things they're used. It behaves very much like Facebook. It behaves very much like things they're used to using on a regular basis, and is not different enough from e-college that they're completely lost. So I think that of your concerns at this point, I don't think your students should be one of them.
I think for us, the transition will be more difficult than it will be for our students.
Yeah.
But I think that's right. The students just, they really just fall right in, or seem to, and they love the mobile application. They love the notifications, the various different kinds of notifications. So I think that they'll be happy, even if you're
a lot
not.
of it is just releasing the eCampus baggage. You know what I mean?
And that is important, actually.
Yeah. The other thing that I think is worth saying is that as part of the process, the selection process, we talked to several references. And one of the references we talked to was the University of Pennsylvania, or the Penn State system, one or the other. I can't remember. Huge, enormous school system. I think it was Penn State. And they had been using 3 different LMS. They were using Blackboard. They were using, I can't remember, Moodle maybe. They were using several different LMS. They brought Canvas in, and the way they introduced it was as a pilot. And at the end of the pilot, they asked the participating faculty to evaluate. I basically give a yes, endorsement or none, right? And I think they had about 40 people participating in their pilot, and every single one of them said yes, go with Canvas. Everyone. So they felt really confident, and they made a very fast transition after that, and they went to just Canvas.
So that being said, there are, if you have, how many of you have gotten in and started trying to make this work? A little bit, so not a lot of you. There are some pretty upfront differences that does not work, behave, nor look the same right up front. And so, so I think we're going to try to kind of walk through, I'll try to put up a thing, just a couple of the differences so you can actually get started. Because, I mean, you might have had this experience. You go in and you're like, nothing looks at all like anything I'm used to. How do I do this? Like, you don't even know where to start. So we might at least get in there and just kind of show you some real basic stuff. We will also start putting together certainly a resources. There's massive resources on Canvas on the website. Like, there's some good stuff on there. So, I mean, that's one thing that we'll all be kind of pulling from. But once again, ask the questions of the group. Somebody might know how to do it already. Meg and I will work really hard to figure it out if somebody doesn't know how. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, because of what Greg said, that maybe a good idea would be to take a look at different classes that have already been done, and maybe online we'll have such things. So we, because you might, I have an image of what I can do, but maybe would give me ideas that I didn't.
In the meeting today, they actually mentioned the fact that there were some model classes. He said something about model classes. It was one of the few things that I actually got. Like, I missed half the meeting. I just got back from vacation, and I'm like, what? Meeting, all right. One of the things I got was he said something about there being some model classes on that. Something
the
he
Canvas
sent
help center.
Is that something maybe you could research and maybe pinpoint to focus people to this section of help?
Yeah.
Aren't there model classes in the sandbox?
In our sandbox?
Not in our sandbox. On the Canvas site,
possibly.
I think we'll look around and we'll
see if we can find some. It might be helpful.
Yeah.
And
the other thing is that Christy posted a link in one of the discussions in our Canvas pilot course.
Is everybody in that course?
Everybody has access to it. I don't know if everybody's been in it. Or, Jane, did I add you? I don't know.
No.
Okay, I'll look. I'll look before you go.
She just showed up. We invited her.
Yeah,
she showed up.
Exactly. Cool. I can't remember, Jane, if you're not, we'll add you. But there's a link to a very simple "How do I start building my course" video. It's 5 minutes long. If you go to the class and go to and Christy can pull it up in just a second, but I'll just talk you through it. Now go to the discussions. And then
And actually, for whatever reason, seeing it in Spanish.
Oh, well, there you
I
go.
might have done that already for myself.
I'm glad I'm not saying it in Spanish.
I don't remember how I did it. They probably asked me at the beginning when I signed up. What language?
The only thing I don't know is the address to get to this place because I'm not on my computer. I'm on Rachel's.
You're looking at for
just to log in.
It's uwio.instructure.com or the other way around.
That's right.
It's UWIO. Okay. If you look at the unsolved mysteries discussion, the last thread Mary Keller started, and Christy posted a nice, very simple link to a very simple video there. I also found a video today that was titled something like "How to Build Your a Simple Canvas Course in 7 Days." That I liked a lot. It had it used templates, and I lost the link, but as soon as I find the link, I will post it. It was just right before this.
In the same thread?
Mm-hmm. I will post it in the same thread. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, since we really didn't know where everybody was going to be on this, so we didn't know what to plan for. So I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert on Canvas at this point, although we did evaluate it pretty extensively, so I have some knowledge, and maybe Meg can help as I bumble through. But when you log into your course, what this is this kind of a big dashboard that shows you everything. So you can see that these are recent activity. These are things that have been going on since I was in here last. So there's 2 discussions that have been posted to. If I say show more, it'll show me which ones have been posted to. I can click on one of these and go directly to it. So this is kind of nice if you have multiple classes. You can see what's changed immediately. There's also, you can see a message here. When you go up to courses, you're going to be able to see the courses. Hello, stop doing that. Okay. Anyway, you can be able to see. Let me hold it down. All the courses that you're in. Okay, so this is my actual course I'm teaching, is Discovering Utilizing Ideas. But you can see there's other courses. You will probably only see your courses, and I'm an administrator here at the moment, so I can see all of them. But you'll see your course/courses, and any other, and probably the Canvas pilot group. So you all should be enrolled in this. Okay, so that's how you're going to know your courses. Now, this part, there's a lot of things. Let me start with a couple of things quickly with settings. You're going to want to set it up. So are you receiving information when somebody posts something in one of these discussions? Do you guys get it? Do you get an email format or okay? So that's kind of important to start with. I think it's called notifications. If you go under your click on your name and you go to notifications, this is actually great because this is how you're going to find out information. This is one of the things about Canvas that I thought was one of the huge selling points to me, was that I'm able to customize how and where I receive things. So what that means is right now in eCollege, right, somebody posts to a discussion, I have to go into eCollege to check to see if anybody's posted the discussion. I have to go to that discussion to find out. I don't have to do that anymore. Now as soon as somebody posts to it, I can say send me a notification in whatever form I want. So you can see I have an email address, a cell number, a Facebook, and a Twitter all set up. So I can choose what I want them to do. So what that means is that basically if I go in and I have a discussion, I can say, I want to know as soon as possible via, and you can see if I scroll up here, this is email and cell. So it'll send me a text and an email as soon as possible when somebody posts to a discussion. You can customize these. So I can click on this and I can say, I don't want it right away, I want to have a daily summary. So once a day it'll send it to me. Or I can say I can send it a weekly summary. As an instructional designer working with faculty, don't put weekly unless you plan to go in and check it often. You want to respond to discussions often, just as an FYI. But you can decide, and if you want to see it a text, or if you want to get an email, a message, however you want to respond. Or you can do Facebook, or you can do Twitter, and there's other options as well.
I want to just jump in here for just a second, because this is one area there where philosophically Canvas is very different from eCompanion. eCompanion and some of the other LMS that we looked at, automatically, no matter what you do, if you want to communicate with students, your students will get an email from you. And they may opt to get messages other ways as well, but they have to, they can't turn their email off. Canvas, they don't have to get an email. So you may communicate with students or post an announcement, and they can get that announcement in a variety of ways. But if you really absolutely feel that you have to make sure that your students are getting an email, You probably don't want to use Canvas to send it because they can turn their email off. So you can use WildWeb to send it. You can create an email group easily. But we think that that what really matters is that students are getting communications the way they want, and then when we know that many students don't check their UWYO email anyway, so we think, oh yes, I've emailed you, so therefore you know, and in fact they don't. But just so you know that,
right.
If they have to get an email, don't use Canvas.
And this is a really good point. But one thing to keep in mind with that, and this was a down point for some faculty when they were reviewing this, but one thing to keep in mind here is that they can choose how they will best respond. So if they say, I'm on Facebook all the freaking time, and I want my messages to go to Facebook, they can choose that. And that way they'll get your message every time.
And
so,
they can respond.
And they can respond
from Facebook
right.
back to the course shell.
You can respond to the email, via email or whatever, however it comes to you, you can respond right back. So I think that that's a really great use of it. So what I've done here, I went to my settings. You can see right here, those are my settings. And you can go in here and you can change some of these things. This might be where the languages didn't. Is it set as Spanish? Is your language set as Spanish there?
Good question.
I haven't set as English. Okay, there you go. There you go.
That's where you did it. I need to have them choose that for my class.
Right, exactly.
That's another issue.
And you can go. These are all the registered services. These are all the services you can register with, and you can add. These are the services that come with it. If you have these things, you don't have to do these. These are if you decide that these are things you use and you would like to add, then you can. One other thing that's important is here, you can see other so here's the email address. I can add email addresses. So once again, the students have the ability to use the email address, choose the email address that they use the most. Or you do. Sometimes you might like to have your class, you could create a class email that just goes, all the email from your one class goes here. And you could choose that. You could say, send all the class email from this from this class to this email address. That type of thing. So you can add these things as well. And so you can adjust all these things, and so that's really important. So what are your assignment for next week, besides getting in there and starting to play, is to go in and set up your settings so that you're getting notifications from this group, from this Canvas group, so that you get emails when somebody goes into our threads and says something. You get a notification so you can kind of start feeling how that goes. Try whatever you want to try. Try texting. Try email. Whatever you want to try. Whatever feels comfortable to you. Some people, whatever, but try to set it up so that you get some kind of notification. And then also try responding to it, because what's really cool is if we go into this, let me go into the course, our course. So what we have our discussions here, and I just set up 2 discussions. One is unsolved mystery. So these are things that people tried and can figure out how to do it, and then we try to respond to them, and then solutions. So if you found something that worked really well, those are the 2. We can add more. These are just the 2 that I set up when we initially started. But so if we look at the unsolved mysteries, we can see that Mary said, this and this. No, wait. Let me find what I actually just found.
That Bob, this one. This
right.
is the one that we were just talking about a few minutes ago.
Right.
With the link.
Right. This is the one with the links. So this message right here, I got an email message that said Mary Keller had posted, I'm looking for a basic tutorial which to get started. And I just responded to that email from my email address. I just hit respond, and with this information, and this is the response. This is where it went. It went straight into the thread. Okay, and you can see it cleaned out. It actually cleaned out my.
You don't have to go back. And
I didn't have to go in. No, I just hit reply. I just hit reply and put the information in and sent it, and this is where it went.
Yeah.
So that's really great. It also stripped out my contact information and stuff. So like I have an automatic signature and stuff. It just stripped it all off for me. It knew how to do that. Which is cool, because otherwise you end up with this whole list of things, right? So that's an example anyway of how that's going to work. And these are just discussions. A couple of other things that I think are really important. These were things that were really important, especially from a distance education scenario. For any of you who teach distance, you can see we have pictures, and this is really important. And I would also so as an assignment, we can send out an email and remind you. But get in, change your notifications, find a picture, and upload a picture. This is actually probably not as big of a deal in an on-campus class, but some of you, like Rachel, has a class with 100 and something people in it. You know how I know some of the faculty, and maybe some of you have even taken pictures of students at the beginning of the semester to try to learn them. If they put their pictures in here, you may not have to do that.
And for students too, because I think what I find I'm always really kind of surprised. Students don't know the names of the other students in the class. They may recognize them, but they really don't know each other, and they can go a whole semester without learning each other's names.
Or sometimes yours.
Definitely sometimes yours. Definitely.
So those are just some quick things. So, if you can just get in and start looking at these things, the way it's organized, so eCollege is organized very linearly, right? So you have a week or a unit type of thing on this left-hand side, and it goes in that order. The Canvas is not. It's much more of a web. So you can go anywhere from anywhere. You can set it up so it's more linear, and you can set it up so things open at certain times, that kind of thing. But it generally is set up differently. So you can see here, what you see on the left here are things that are active. So students will see anything that's dark, and they will not see anything that's grayed out. These are tools that I can add to, but I don't have to. Let me just go back here and to the beginning. There's a syllabus page, which is what I'm using here. Actually, I just made a front page. You can create a syllabus page. The interesting thing about the syllabus page is if you add anything to the calendar, it automatically adds to the syllabus, which may or may not be a good thing for you. That completely depends upon you, because they're very tied together. I'm not going to go through everything. I'm just kind of giving you a feel for how it works a little bit. One thing that's kind of cool is if you go to how do you get to that? The place where it tells you below all the pieces that there's this thing and this thing.
Oh,
is it under settings?
Yeah, is it under settings? It's
slowed down all of a sudden. It kind of helps you, walks you through. Here's how you set up an assignment. I'm trying to find it. That's not it.
It's if you course setup checklist.
Where is that?
Go to the home page.
Okay.
And then
you can see that it always has these breadcrumbs, which is really nice. So you can always find your way back. Oh, no, it's too far back.
And then it's up in the upper right-hand corner.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So this, when you click on this, you can see that it has here's what you might want to do: add course assignments, add students. You won't have to do that. Sam's doing that for us. Choose your course home page, and it gives you. And if you click on one of these things, it will. Add TAs, calendar events. It will help you do these things. So that's kind of a handy thing as well. Does anybody have any questions so far? I mean, you're going to have to get in there and play a little bit, but yes, Michael.
How'd you get to that again? Because this is one of my curiosities thus far. I feel like I have no sense of how to get. I'll see something like, that's going to help me do whatever, and then it's just gone.
So click on your when you go into your course, it will default to your home page, and then if it's not displayed, see up in the upper right-hand corner.
Here or up higher?
No, right where you are. There. It says
right
course setup checklist. And just click that, and it will open up those little, few wizards.
See, and I don't have that showing, so I'm just, I'm not
are you looking at your course, or are you looking at this course?
Yes.
If you're looking at this course, you're a student.
You're not going to see it. You're a student in this course.
See it. You'll have to look in your own course, or a course where you're an instructor. Yeah. One of the things I think is really is worth noting is the way Christy has set this up, and I think we could probably show you a couple of examples of this, where in eCompanion you might have had links on the left-hand side for, I don't have my glasses on, the doodles, for example, maybe, or what to do if you needed to go home, or if you need to, your home button or your home tab. In Canvas, you can nest a lot of links right within the main page. So there's a lot more sort of horizontal structure to it. You don't have to students don't have to step through first this and then this and then this and then this. But as they're reading through the text, you can say, go here, and they can go there. And it's very, very simple to create those links. It's like this. It's so fast and easy.
So, one of the other things that really appealed to us, you can do all the things you could do in eCompanion. So, I'm not focusing on those, so I'm assuming you kind of have an idea how that might work. But there's some other things that are really cool. You see this video right here, for example. This is a video that I just created by using the embedded Canvas tool, which is really cool, and it's not playing. Okay. Oh, it's just taking a while to load. My connection is really slow here for some reason. Anyway, you can create in any place in the entire thing, including quizzes, exams, feedback. You can create audio, and video really easily. So if I go in here and I want to actually edit this page, so you can look up here, you see edit this page. Oh, it's now it's playing. Let me just do this. You can say edit this page. I can go in here and I can say I want to add, it's really slow. I want to add a media. So at this point I can upload it or I can not upload it. I can upload it or I can just create it. And I can record it and I can decide whether I want to record a video or audio. And I just hit record as soon as it decides to load. And it embeds it right in my page. So I can give audio and video feedback on anything right in the page. It's really, really, really slick. You can also, the other cool thing, and it's just not loading very fast. It's an internet connection thing, so don't stress about it. But the other cool thing is that if I go and I get a YouTube video link, like the link to a YouTube video, and I just take the link and I copy and paste it right in here, it will automatically embed that for me. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to go in and get the embed code and go into the embed. You don't have to do that. You just stick the link in and it'll embed it for you. I've got a couple of cool things like that. Is there any other? Like I said, there's a lot going on here.
The importing importing function.
Yes.
Does that I have test banks that I would want.
That's different. Yeah.
So do I work with Robin to do that?
We need to work on this.
We need to
work
on test banks, Carmen. That's something that
when
we haven't done.
When will you be using test banks?
Probably by mid-September.
Okay, we will have it figured out before mid-September.
That actually might be something too that
sooner.
Yeah,
we'll work on that.
Okay. Yeah.
We don't know.
We know. We do know that we're going to integrate with Respondus.
Okay.
Isn't it Respondus?
Yeah,
That's
Respondus,
right. Yeah. So we're going to integrate with Respondus, so we should be able to upload test banks. We just don't know exactly what that mechanism looks like.
Okay. And I just was playing around. It looks like it will pick up Moodle files as well. That was part of the drop-down list here.
Oh, as a.
Yeah. But then I'm thinking, I wonder where my Moodle files are.
You mean because you can they all use this what they call a common cartridge. Moodle and Canvas does. So you should be able to zip your Moodle course and then upload it straight into Canvas.
Okay.
And I don't know how that's done, but it can be done.
And I actually need to talk with Dave Cronister. He and I communicated. He's the remote learner guy, and so I'll look into getting those files.
Okay.
What we can do with those files.
Awesome.
Okay.
One thing I think would be helpful, I guess, is that when you get into this homepage, I don't think I have any courses that are open yet or like brand new, but when you get the whole page, there's going to be a home page here. To edit it, you're just going to go up and say, this is your welcome. It's probably not your syllabus. It's probably your welcome or what you would normally have. You don't have to have anything here, but if you want to, you can put something here. There's also, maybe I should go into my course to actually have a syllabus.
You can go into mine if you want to.
Maybe yours would be better.
My fall course.
Let's see, I can maybe do all of
You can we can start setting up mine.
Volunteered that. No, I don't think that's it. It's actually technical writing in the professions. Keep going. Look at all these courses.
I know, it's terrifying.
Let me see. I can tell you how it's listed.
I'm not finding
technical writing for the professions. So it's going to be under T. Did you get down that far?
T.
Yeah.
It's
on the next page. Is there a next page?
I think we have. There's so many in there though. I think we have to
Probably
search.
under English.
Yeah, on the side.
Oh, you're gonna have to search.
There it is.
Yeah.
4010.
No, that's an old one. That's the one that that's actually the course the shell I used for my students' project.
Yeah, that was sweet, man.
Yeah.
So what we have here is we have her front page where she's got,
I love that.
I like that too.
Combo save lives.
So where would you like me to go? This is yours. So.
Just to kind of show you. Let's see. Why did we go in here?
This is the front page.
The front page. So this is the front page. It's not a syllabus, and I'm actually not using the syllabus function in this class because I don't have deadlines in this class. I have another class that I've been working on setting up where I am using the syllabus function. But if you'll notice, one of the first links up right underneath that box with the gray shade in the middle frame, there's a change home page layout link. That's going to allow you to decide. That's the link that you'll use, or that's the feature that you'll use to decide how you want to present your course, basically. So what I'm using here is modules. And I have a home page, and then I have like 4 or 5 modules that I've created. A lot of people, I think, use the assignments with syllabus.
So this is what the students will see the first time they log into your course, is what this is basically doing.
Right. Right. So the way this page is set up, or the way this course is set up, the first thing they'd see is what we were looking at before.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me show you really quickly. I think I have a syllabus set up, so I was playing with that. So this is my course front page with various things. I do have a syllabus set up. You can actually copy and paste directly from Word into this, and it comes out pretty nice. I mean, look, I didn't do much jumping around with this, or messing around with this. The bottom of the syllabus, if you put anything in the calendar, you're going to get this. This is what I was talking about. So if you have due dates, it will automatically become, if you put it in the calendar, it will automatically become part of your syllabus, or not. So you can see that these are I only have, as Meg said, I only have a couple of due dates because we both have kind of a similar thing. It's this, anyway, a discussion for another day.
Right.
But they will appear in here. So if I actually go into the course calendar, that's how that will make this. If you don't put anything in there, it doesn't really show up. Or it gives you a list of things, I think, but it doesn't actually show up anything. So that's kind of a syllabus thing. I also have it set up as modules. So I have modules. I've thought of modules as weeks because that's where my thought process was coming from eCompanion. Someday I might break out of that, but I think at this point that's probably a good place to start. Is thinking about unless you can easily conceive of a different way to do this. Like you always struggle with having weekly things anyway. You'd much rather have it a different way. By all means, go ahead with it. But if you're used to the idea of this happening on a weekly basis, on a modular basis, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and set up as modules, and then you can put different things within the modules. And these are all different. So these are assignments. If I click on one of these, if it goes, this actually isn't an assignment. This is let me go to one that's assignment. So this is an assignment, and I can. I don't know why this is so slow. But oh well, I'm plugged in.
Yeah.
This is actually not what the students would see. This is mine. They would see something differently. You can see that I actually have a rubric attached to this assignment. So that's cool. And we'll talk about that as we get closer to grading. I'm not going to talk about that right now because I think it's further down the road than you need. And I can decide who it's due for, how many points it's worth, and then what it says, which is what this is. And so I can, this is what it says. Anyway, so you can set up as modules or not. The people button will let you see who's in the class.
And add people to the class.
And
so
add
if,
people
for example, you want to bring in a guest speaker who's not here on campus or isn't actually enrolled in the class, you can do that.
All by yourself.
You don't need us to do it for you, and it's not a problem.
You just need their email address, and you can decide how they come in. They come in as teacher, TA, a designer, or observer. Yeah. And there's multiple sections.
So if we want to see the student view, the easier thing to do is just create.
There is a student view.
There is a student view.
So if you click on settings,
it's here, right? I don't think it's this one. I think it's this one. Is it this one?
I can't remember.
I think it's this one.
I think it's that one too. You're right. I think it's that low one.
This is we know some stuff. We're still not
right. But we can find it. It just takes a little while.
We're not quite.
And then no, it's the other.
That's the other one.
It's the other one. I had just a devil of a time. We were trying to show this to somebody one day recently, and I could not.
Where is it?
I couldn't find it either. Let's see.
Anyway, we'll find it and tell you how to do that.
Yeah, but there is a student view, and it actually seems to be like it is. It's that lower one. If you click on settings, and then over on the right hand, maybe you need to scroll, Christy. Maybe you're not seeing your whole. You need to scroll to the right.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't find it.
There we go. So then you can hit the student view and you'll see what the students will see.
Okay.
Cool.
So this is what they're going to see. So you see they don't have all those links that I had here, and they don't have the options over here.
So something just to note, and this is just a cosmetic thing, I think, but there's a good chance that we hope before the semester goes live that Canvas will be branded with, the UW logo and the name, which probably is not going to be Canvas, but we think YO Courses. And so there'll be some cosmetic differences, there'll be some color differences, some things will look different, and I don't think they'll affect functionality.
No, I just think where that header is gray, it will be the header that you're used to in YO Web. those types of things, the color scheme to match the university.
And
So
you
if you
can
go in,
seamless.
right? So if you go in one day and you go, oh, it looks totally different, don't panic because it's supposed
Just
to
color.
look totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it will. You can go ahead and start building where you have it now. Right now, that's just our sandbox, but they're gonna make this the live one, so it won't really matter.
Is there gonna be more than one design? I mean, for me, it's like so useful to have different colors or something like
I
that.
think that you can
for
change some of
different-
the stuff. I don't think you can change some of it. Won't.
I
be
think within your
changeable.
course, I think Canvas allows you to do it, but the branding of the entire application will
Yeah.
be
Oh,
brown
okay,
and gold.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so I don't post in the wrong place.
Right,
Something.
right. I do think
Which
though,
could be
that there's
much more of an
certain
issue in
things
this
like
one, actually.
The white and gray and black. I don't think we can control that. I think that's set, and I think the reason that's set is an accessibility.
Yeah, there are some
thing that
accessibility
they-
issues.
Yeah, that they really they investigated, and that's the
color
the best color scheme for accessibility and screen readers and things like that. Isn't that right?
Sure, I was looking at something else.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, so there are limits to what you can actually tailor
Whatever my
and
wife says is
customize.
I know. You're wise.
And one thing that I actually struggled with a lot was figuring out how to make which ones of these show up and which ones I didn't want to show up. And it turns out it's uber easy, but you have to find it. So it's under settings and under navigation, and it's really easy to do. If I want discussions to show up, I just take it and I just drag it up here, and then it shows up.
Okay. Then you can arrange the order that.
Yeah, and I can drag these around in whatever order I want.
Okay.
It's really, it's so easy that was scary. Like I didn't know. I was like, why is this so easy? It can't be that easy. So I finally was like, oh, I just drag it. Okay, moving on. Most of the stuff is drag and drop in here. It's amazing, actually.
And you can actually even upload files from your desktop to the files
Which is
area in Canvas, drag and drop. There's actually a note in one of the discussions about that because it's a little. There are two panes in the drag and drop in the files area, and you can drag and drop into the files area from your desktop, and you can move files between the two panes, but you cannot move them, drag and drop them from the left pane to the right pane, which seems very bizarre to me. It's the right pane to the left pane, and I spent quite a bit of time trying to figure out why it wasn't working. So anyway, there's a note about that.
We're getting close to the end of time here. So what we're gonna, I know this is all like too much and everything, but I think if we can just concentrate on a couple of things. First of all, we have these open office hours essentially. Have we moved them to ECTL yet?
We have not moved them to ECTL.
Do you want to do that this week? Or maybe not. No, well, not this week.
Maybe not. We should probably find out what's going on with staging over there first. But right now they're here.
They're here
on Friday afternoons from 1 to 3.
So you're welcome to just pop in, ask a question, or just come in and start working in our class, and we'll be here and we can help you walk through things. Whatever, if you have a specific question, come over. If you don't, if you just want to sit there with your laptop and work on stuff, that's great too. Whatever you want to do, just come in and we'll do this. We'll have those happen every week. Where they happen is going to change. We're going to eventually move them to ECTL, so we have more space. But right now they're here.
Well, they're in 327.
They're in 327,
which is right at the top of the stairs.
Right as you come up the stairs, and then
and it's a small space. If we have lots of people, we'll have to look for more space, and we'll break up. But that's a great venue for sharing.
And if we can, and we'll post a couple of the right now in the discussions. If you go into the last one we did, the unsolved mysteries. Is that where I posted? I think there is some stuff posted already of how to find stuff. Or there's some quick tutorials. There's a whole bunch of tutorials. So right in here, Sijin, there's actually a video here that says how do I start building my course. If you just want to start from scratch, the main thing is so you're going to start and you're going to be frustrated because it's going to be different. You're going to look at this and say, this is so hard. Why is this so different? I don't understand what's going on. But once you get the hang of it, it gets going really fast. So that initial learning curve is high, fairly high, but once you get the hang of it, it's way easier. There's many less clicks and many less things that you have to do. And a lot of times, a lot of stuff will happen pretty automatically. Like if I create an assignment, if I go in and create an assignment, it'll automatically add it to certain places for me, and if I put a due date on it, it'll add it to the calendar for me, and it'll do a lot of stuff for you pretty quickly. But you just have to get the hang of it. So this first few days, you're gonna be just like, oh, why did I do this? I'm beginning to think this was a really bad idea. But my experience certainly, and Meg's experience, is that initial learning curve. Once you get the hang of how it functions, it goes pretty quick, and that's helpful, I think. As opposed, I mean, we tested several different ones, and some of the other problems we had was that with like Moodle, it never really got better. You know, like we continued to be frustrated long after we got used to Canvas, and that was one of the reasons we ended up going with Canvas, was because it was just seemed that initial learning curve was going to be hard no matter what, but once we were past it was way easier.
I think it's helpful to step back and think about how you really want to structure your course instead of trying to simply transfer your eCompanion course to Canvas. And I kind of started, I mean, not to say that you can't use those materials and the text that you've written and things like that, but I kind of started thinking, okay, here's my unit. I just want to plunk my unit into Canvas, and then I'm going to play with it. And that was okay. I spent a lot of time playing with it. It doesn't look like what was in eCompanion anymore. And you know, so now once having done that, then subsequent units, I have a better idea about how to go about and build a module that takes advantage of the way Canvas works. I think it's really worth thinking about, how do I want things to be connected? Where do I want students to find things? How much do I want on one page? And how do I want the relationships to look?
So I think that would be something I would be interested in hearing from both of you, how you change the course presentation with this. Because right now I'm thinking weeks. I'm thinking very linearly.
Yeah. And I don't think it's bad to think in weeks at all. For me, you know, my eCompanion course was a unit, whether it was a week or a month or a section or whatever. And then within that unit, there was a link for discussions, a link for reading, you know, so a variety of things. Now, of different buttons that my students had to select in order to participate or to get that information. So now I have basically at the beginning of each module, I have an overview page, and everything is embedded into that overview page. So in other words, I say these are the things that we're going to do in this module. One of the sort of class of activities I have, I call action items, and my students can select from a bunch of different action items. There's a link to the action items just embedded in that introductory page, and that pulls up the page. Within that new page, there are links to assignments, descriptions, various. So it has this sort of multi-tiered characteristic, you know, so it's multi-dimensional, as opposed to having to step through one thing at a time.
Although you can make them step through one thing
you
at a
can
time as well. So I mean, I think structurally, you know, if your class goes through, which most of ours do, by the week, then there's ways to structure that. If you have you know, and certainly as an online class, you know, we are definitely doing that for sure. But as a supplemental thing for an on-campus class, you may not do that. You might have a module on, you know, Rachel may have a module on gram staining, you know, and that doesn't necessarily have to be at a specific place in the class. I mean, she teaches it at a specific place, but maybe they want to. It doesn't have to be.
That's a reference place.
Right. And so, you know, it's just different ways to think about how. What is your information? What is the purpose of your information? What are you putting out there, and how are you using it? You know, so you may have quizzes every week, and those are every week, right? And they may just open. You're going to have a whole. When we look at the let me go up here and show you real quick. When we look at the go ahead. When we look at the over here, you can see that there's a discussion. So every time I create a discussion, it automatically shows up in this discussion field. So every time I create a quiz, there's also going to be a quizzes. See, it's right here actually. I just don't have it activated.
Yeah.
So all the quizzes will show up there, so that they'll know this is how many quizzes there are. Yeah. I can decide whether they can see that or not, right? So if I want them to only see the quizzes that I want them to see, that's fine too. But I can say here's all the quizzes, and they can see that.
And
so
then you can also embed it then within that module.
Exactly.
Okay.
So in one of my courses right now, I have my students participate in discussions, but they don't see a discussion
button. Yeah.
Because I don't want them to see all the discussions for the semester. And they're not time, you know. I can't turn them on by time.
And that's what I've done too.
So that's hidden. My students won't see that, but they'll see links to the discussions embedded within the modules. Yeah. So there are a lot of different ways to think about how you want to present information and sort of the course flow, basically.
All right. Well, thank you.
Sure. I will find, Kim, I mentioned earlier that I found a video. It's from Utah State, I think, that talks about how to set up a simple course in 7 steps or 7 days. I thought that it was pretty useful, and I'll find that link and I'll post it for everybody. Yeah. Knowing, of course, that the videos that we're posting weren't created specifically for us, and so there may be some places where it's not really relevant, but yeah.
And topics for next week. Does anybody have anything off the top of their head right now?
What happens on Wednesday? You had 2 meetings a week.
Right. We had one meeting this week and one meeting next week, and I scheduled them on 2 different days just because people's schedules were really erratic before the semester begins. Once the semester begins, we'll definitely we've set a tentative time, and we'll determine whether or not that's really the best time, and then we'll definitely have a regular time.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's next Wednesday, Carol, and it's just
and like I said, Friday afternoons, and then of course, if you have any questions prior to that, just go into the Canvas shell, post it somewhere, or shoot one of us an email. We'll do the best we can to answer whatever questions you might have.
And play with Canvas.
Play with
Canvas. See if you can use Canvas as that communication tool.
We also are hoping that we get one faculty training, kind of a train the trainer-ish thing is what we're looking at it. That we're hoping we're going to make available to all of you guys. So we hope that will happen
next week.
Okay.
And that's a 2-hour session. So we'll do our best to set it at a time where people can at least come in and out, even if they can't be here for the full 2 hours. And that will also be recorded. Good. So if you can't be here, or if you can't be here for all of it, you'll have access to it. Okay. Good. All right. Okay. Thank you. We're pretty excited. You probably can't tell.
And if you have any questions.